Hey everyone, welcome to the campaign countdown. My name is Michael, and we're also joined by Matt. We're the two co-founders of Wikid Publishing, and we're
How
joined
are
by
you all doing today?
Sporkman creators Chuck and Eric. Welcome, guys.
Hey.
Hey,
We're
hey.
going to be talking a little bit about their campaign today for Sporkman Goes to Japan. Yay!
Yay!
How's it going? I mean, it's right in the middle of the thick of things. What have you guys been doing with it? How's it been going for you guys?
Well, we are at now. I'm waiting for the one money to come in to be deposited.
30%. I imagine that when
no, it's actually higher than that. It's higher than 30%.
well, yeah, but you haven't deposited that. Once you deposit that,
no, I already. Yeah, well, that's the thing is, but we have paid. We've been paid for it already.
It's probably going to be like I'm guessing maybe like 32, probably.
Yeah. Well, it's $300. So, so really, we're at 1981. We're almost funded 100% for the coloring.
Nice, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're trying to focus on that first, because that's the more pressing thing that we need. If we're hoping that we can get to the full funding, but if not, that's where we're gonna focus. We're gonna get the coloring done because, and I might reattempt at doing the lettering. I don't know, but coloring is more important because that's going to add more value to the project.
Absolutely, that's like our big thing. We initially didn't sit down and say, hey, we're going to relaunch Sporkman. Let's get it relettered. It was let's get it colorized. So that's definitely our top priority. And if we can raise enough funding to at least have that happen, I'm going to be pretty happy. But we only have 9 days left, which I know there's usually a spike at the tail end. There's usually a spike at the beginning and a spike at the tail end. I'd be a little bit more comfortable if we were more like 50%, this far into it. So I'm hoping that we start getting some backers.
Nice. Yeah. Have you guys been going on any streams and things like that?
Yeah. So I was on John Manlin's last week.
Nice.
I was in Edwin's chat promoting the book, and I was on Indie Comics Dave, and then 2 weeks ago I was on Number One Marmaduke. So really getting the word out there. The downside is it does seem. I kind of found out today that I'm actually shadow banned on Twitter.
Really?
Yes. So what that's doing is, even though I'm tweeting out, people are not seeing it, or they can't find me by searching for me.
Okay, do me a favor, Chuck. What is shadow banned?
Okay. So basically, shadow banning is them putting in an algorithm, stopping your tweets and stuff like that from going out.
Like who does that?
Twitter. Twitter's AI does that.
And what triggers that though?
We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Like, it could be a number one of things. Could be like people either muting us. Either Twitter's AI thinks we're spamming because you're only allowed so many tweets within a certain amount of time period. So I send out 6 tweets a day for the campaign, and then also retweeting other people campaign. So what happens is that might be partly what's throwing that algorithm. But I'm finding out more than just us are shadow banned. There's other people. So the thing is, I'm putting tweets out. People may not be always seeing those tweets and stuff like that.
What I'd really like to see come back, which is reflected in the numbers, that right now there's a lot of people that backed the first campaign that apparently haven't, at least at this point. Maybe they intend to. Because otherwise, if we just had exactly the same backers, contributing exactly the same amounts, I mean, I know our tiers are slightly different and stuff, but if it was basically equivalent to what it was before, I think last time we did, it was over 3,500, I think.
We were at 39 last time.
Yeah, so, and again, it could be 100% of those people are going to come in and they're just coming in late. You know, I'm one of those people. I just look at the numbers and I'm like, oh man, you know, I hope you know, even if everyone intends to do it, I feel safer when I see the contributions higher at the beginning. That just like, you know, makes me feel a little bit better on it.
Yeah, the thing I have noticed that compared to last time when we ran our campaign back in September, like we were actually almost like 2,000 total visits for like the entire campaign. We haven't even broke 600 for this time. So we're at so there's a fraction of the amount of people. If something's going on to where people are not seeing it, or you know what I mean, and I think really honestly, I think the shadow banning is going to affect that. That's stopping people from seeing those tweets, you know, and that could be affecting. So I'm out to you know, Twitter to find out what's going on, because this is ridiculous. This is hurting our campaign.
Well, one thing I'm trying to do on my end is I feel like what we need to do is we need to reach a broader audience, because you know I'm sure there's plenty of indie people that don't use Twitter at all, or maybe don't even really use social media, so they're not finding out about these things. And so the other week I attended our first convention since relaunching Sporkman. That at least first time I attended one where it was purely to promote Sporkman, and we due to a kind of a snafu with getting our table there, we ended up with not the best spot, but it was nice being able to, you know, actually be able to interact with people face to face and actually be able to draw them in and you know, tell them what the comic's about and stuff like that. And you know, met a couple people that like to read indie comics and were very supportive. You know, a couple said, you know, maybe I'll come back later. And you generally don't count those people. You just assume they're probably not going to be back. But the one guy, you know, he came back and he's like, I love the passion I see behind, you know, what you're doing. I'll buy all 4, you know. So he bought all 4 issues we had there. And that's great. So right now, one of my big goals is to go to all the local LCSs we have in the area, which is not a ton, and they're spread pretty far away from each other. But literally go into person and hand them a stack of flyers and say, hey, can you hand out these flyers to people? So, you know, it mentions the campaign. It has on, you know, the Get Spork website, and the fact that we got picked up by you guys. So I'm hoping that that'll, you know, generate some interest just in people physically going into the store. They pick it up. Oh, what's this? Hey, look, local talent is doing this. You know, there's a lot of people that will support something just for the fact that they want to support local people. So I one of my trips when I was out today was to stop by a comic book shop, way out of the way, nowhere really near me. I think I've been to that town maybe 3 times in my life, and you know, stopped by. I said, hey, you know, can you put these out? They're like, okay, sure. So I'm hoping to hit some more up. Also, Free Comic Book Day is coming up, and our campaign is actually going to end before Free Comic Book Day. But Chuck and I have been talking about extending it. I think even if we reach our goal in time, we're probably still going to extend it. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of traffic into comic book shops on Free Comic Book Day. If every one of those people sees a flyer, you know, that's a potentially good number of contributors. So, you know, hoping to do that a little bit more, get to some other LCSs in the area.
Well, the other
get the word out.
Yeah, the other thing too was I've actually had a couple people come to me in tweets and DMs, and when YouTube I was in, had a couple people say, "Hey, I won't have extra money till, you know, like the first weekend of May," which is another reason why we're talking about it too. And they're like, "Do you really think I would have really backed you this time? Can you extend the campaign?" So yeah, so that's one of the good things, we are talking about. So it
And-
might, and it isn't going to be like for like a whole another month. It's going to be like a few days,
Yeah, and actually, guys, that's a suggestion that I would have for you too about like those flyers and stuff like that. Is you've been going to stores in your area and trying to get them to pick up books, but they may actually be willing to put out flyers for the books that are undergoing the Indiegogos too.
That's an interesting
So-
idea. Yeah.
So, be like, hey, here's what we have available now, but here's what we're trying to get available, via these campaigns and stuff like that. If they've been receptive to pick up books from you, I'm sure they would be receptive to handing out flyers. I mean, could you imagine? Like, I know the comic book shop that I go to on Free Comic Book Day, man, they got like a line going around the side of the building. It's like, could you imagine if every one of those people, when they got their comic in a bag, it had a flyer in it? I mean, could you imagine how many eyes on that day are going to be look? I mean, sure, there's going to be a lot of people that look at a flyer, they're like, okay, junk, and they throw it out and don't read it. But how many people are gonna read that? So.
Yeah, that's a good opportunity.
I totally see exactly where you're coming from. It could be a very great move for comics in general to actually start doing too. Because I mean, if you notice, when you get the sealed magazines or even regular magazines, they'll have the detachable ads, or they'll have like a questionnaire kind of form for you to fill out. But little slip that would be like an advertisement, that'd be perfect. Not only that, you can actually probably go a little bit further than just comic book shops or bookstores. You could probably go to, let's say there's a place you frequent pretty regularly, and some of the people there are into comics, or they're into, let's just say, fictional stories in a sense, because you can also do this with books. You can ask them if you can also place a flyer. I've actually been a few places where I've been thinking about designing a Wikid publishing flyer and give it to those stores, as well as go to a few comic shops and a few local game shops for tabletop games and everything.
Yeah, that's actually another interesting idea to hit, because you're going to get a lot of cross demographic, I think, with the tabletop gaming community.
Yes.
Yes,
I've actually noticed that from doing the the Sundial Bridge Comic Con out here, because where I go to for like a lot of my Magic the Gathering cards is pretty much right down the street, called Matrix, and they have a table over at that Comic Con too, and there's a lot of their customers will come through there as well. And I was like, oh, all right, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to advertising, you got to figure, no matter where you're putting your product, you're going to have a finite number of people that see it. So, I mean, if you ran an ad in a newspaper, well, outside a certain radius, no one's reading that newspaper, or they have a certain readership. Well, you know what? There's another newspaper that has a ton of other people that are never going to see the ad in newspaper A if you don't also put it in newspaper B. I mean, it's the same way with anything else, whether you're talking about social media. I mean, you look at all the forms of social media, there's people that, Instagram is their thing and they don't touch Facebook or Twitter. The same way with any of the other ones, vice versa. So I think, it's important to hit a very broad net, or you're going to constantly be preaching to the choir, and you're going to constantly be trying to sell to the same people who have already made up their mind whether they're going to support you or not.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I do want to answer the one question Zach threw out in the chat. And Eric, it's an idea we could probably look into. Matt,
sorry, do you mind repeating the question?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it now. Question is, would Sporkman would seem to be a good fit for distribution through Scholastic. Have you ever considered that? I don't even know where to start with that, in all honesty. I was thinking we'd do really good, but I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, like I don't know if they are exclusively like books. Like I don't even know if they cover anything like comics.
I think they do anything that's oriented towards
kids,
children, and anything towards kids, pretty much, as far as reading goes.
Wasn't Captain Underpants a comic, or was that also prose?
I think that is a Scholastic, and then it was picked up by someone else about 10 years ago, I want to say.
I mean, it's certainly an out-of-the-box kind of suggestion.
It is, but it could actually really work out.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. There's an idea.
But no, I mean that's a good point, and that's actually something I'm really excited about with the alternate ad coming out, the alternate comics ad. I think that'll be a good way to reach a lot of readers.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I felt extending it might be good, because we're not really sure. We know it's supposed to hit sometime. Within, we said the last week of April, first week of May. So us extending it a few days, we might be able to hit from there too.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot of eyes on the project, like right after the intended cutoff date. So I think that's why we're probably going to extend it. Would be the best idea.
And we do have a new backer also in chat. I don't know, Matt and Mike. I don't know if you saw that. There was Mr. Gunblade Knight said he's a new backer. He missed the previous one due to fiscal responsibilities. And
nice.
So
back. Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Thanks for coming back. Yeah, that's awesome. It's always great to see a backer who was unable to get it the first time. Now they have a better chance to get it.
And definitely, dude. Like, just tell everyone else. Tell everyone else. Say, hey, I backed it. I think you should too, because it's going to be pretty cool. Word of mouth has a tremendous amount of power.
In the chat, they're saying
that's very true. That is very true. I don't know if you guys were on the podcast when we were doing the Mythoverse at that point, but I had looked up on Google to get one of the links for the site, and I found out just by looking up Wikid Publishing. Sorry about that. Just by looking up Wikid Publishing, I actually found out that our Twitter, our store, our main website, and a few of our links as well they're all on the main page. Like, it's the first thing you see, and I was like, wow, that really shows it, because we haven't paid a dime for any kind of advertisement online. So everything that we have is word of mouth, and personally, I would like to thank everyone for that. I mean, the creators, the fans, all the support,
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, it is really cool. I think word of mouth is always the best way to go.
It is, and I've often told people, especially when it comes to stuff like running campaigns, like, I can go to people and tell them all day long how awesome my stuff is, and of course I'm going to think it's awesome because it's my own thing, but it has more power when it comes from someone else. Because obviously, if I tell people, "Hey, my project's awesome," I'm biased, towards my project. But if someone else says it, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll take my friends, approval over the guy trying to sell it to me. I mean, it could be that way with anything. A salesman's trying to sell you. New roofing for your house or whatever. Well, yeah, of course he wants your business. But if your buddy says, I got them to do work and I'm happy with it, you're more likely to go there.
That's very true. It'll work with retail as well.
Yep. Yeah, I know we're talking about, talking in the chat about Instagram, about reaching out, getting your engagement and stuff like that. One thing I've done with this campaign, I actually found an app like a lot like Crowdfire called Hootsuite. And it allows me to post to both Twitter and Instagram at the same time. I just send the same tweet out to both feeds.
That's interesting. And does that mean,
So that way you guys.
That's interesting.
So that way you guys.
That is pretty interesting. It shows that they use the same scripting methods, you could say.
Yeah. And that allows you, for especially for people who want to get more involved with Twitter or to Instagram, because I'm seeing a lot of people. One of the things that I was doing some research on here, a lot of these successful Kickstarters have Instagram accounts. It seems to be there's something with Instagram that really pulls in the artist community and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I always thought Instagram was more photo based, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
I can honestly see that, but to be honest, if you just put in a few different words of like art, comics, even manga, or even like let's say your favorite comic, you'll see thousands, like possibly tens or hundreds of thousands, if you can even look for that long. Just fan art forever, and just different variations. And I was like, oh my god, wow. And now that you can actually follow certain taglines as well, it really makes a difference as well.
My only issue with Instagram is I can't save pictures to my phone. If I come across like a really cool art piece, I can't save it to my phone. I have like I can like it, and it goes into like a little like my favorite stuff, but I can't save it to my phone. Like if I ever wanted to use it for a wallpaper or something like that, which sucks.
That's kind of a pain.
That is true. You could, if you know how to do the screen save, you can try that. I know some apps will actually block you out from it. Like Netflix, they don't allow for it. You can't screen save anything from Netflix, pretty much.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Because me and my fiance will just pause like certain shows at certain points and get the funniest looking face, and we'll just use it sometimes, like take pictures of it and like mess around with it. But we were trying to do it on Netflix one day, and it even pops up on my iPad saying you can't screen save on this device. I was like, wow.
Yeah, they're trying to protect the work, I guess.
And I can see that. I mean, I understand that completely, but I think for like myself, one of the things is why I grabbed those is because I want to be able to go back and support. Like if I sold my phone and someone sees it, they're like, oh, well, that's awesome. That's an awesome wallpaper. That's an awesome screensaver. I'm like, yeah, this is the comic I'm backing, or I'm really interested in, or this is the artist I'm following right now.
Can you just like bookmark it? Like you bookmark a website?
You can you can favorite on your in the application, and it goes kind of under like this favorite section. Like,
that's not too bad then. At least you have an option.
Yeah,
it works, but at the same time, like since they don't have kind of like a more of a you could say a repost system, it doesn't really. It's more of like you're hanging out with a friend, and then you have to go to either yours or find it on theirs. To be able to find the picture again. But if they easily had like a repost or because I know they have the share direct, but I hear certain things aren't very well with it. I personally haven't really tried it out so much myself, but from what I know, since they don't have a repost or like a re-Instagram or in a sense retweet system, you can't really share as easily.
Interesting, yeah. I don't know. I definitely want to start using the Instagram a little more and start building ours up. But I know it seems to work for some people, so it's always best to try and reach as broad an audience as you can.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean that's why some companies, they have whole departments of people that their whole job is just to like blanket social media because you kind of gotta, especially in this day and age.
Yep, exactly.
So how many days left in the campaign do we have for Sporkman?
Well, 9 days with how much we have remaining. Like I said, if we decide to extend it, that will add on. So I'm probably going to, if extending, I'll probably go till give me a moment here, real quick, guys. I'll probably run till the 10th, because that will clear through, Free Comic Book Day, and a couple people told me they're not getting paid till the 6th and 7th. So, I figured that Friday, last day payday, boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Wow,
frankly,
that's crazy.
I hope we knock the top off the budget, because
Yeah.
at the $500 mark beyond our goal is when we're going to do the little mini epilogue story in it, which I'm really
man.
and I'm really looking forward to that, because not only is it for us additional content. I mean, Goes to Japan, we love it, but like, we actually finished the story years ago. This would be the first all new story, and even if it's something short, it's pretty cool. I told Chuck kind of my idea for it, and he kind of had some thoughts to go along with that I'm like, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool, because I think it can give some hints as to some future stuff that might take place.
Yeah, and also if we decide to branch off into, Natsumi doing her own thing completely, that opens us up to doing, that plus Returns to Japan. So
nice. Yeah, Returns to Japan. That'd be the one where he comes back to Japan later down the line.
Yep.
Nice.
And
you gotta have your Return sequel.
And that we already have. We already have a good idea what we want some of that to be. We thought of that a while ago, because we really liked the characters in Goes to Japan. We liked our heroes, we liked our villains and everything, and so we've already kind of discussed that, what we want to have happen, go down.
Speaking of which, so we've seen conventions, one kind of a one-shot story, and then we've had Goes to Japan, which has been a more of a long, overarching story.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, do you see yourselves doing more longer story arcs, or go back to doing singular stories?
I definitely see it being longer ones, because I think just having the extra room lets you get a little bit more in depth, where you have enough page count where you can actually have slow moments where you don't feel like you have to keep getting on to the next thing. So I think it's a little bit better on the pacing when you don't have to have it self-contained. And really, the way we want to always tell the stories with Sporkman is the page count is what it is to tell the story, because we're not putting out a monthly comic with a monthly budget. That's something where initially we said, okay, what's the average page count of a comic? And 24 pages. That's why we did conventions at 24 pages. It wasn't because we thought the story couldn't be longer or anything. It was simply we were trying to keep within
the standard.
Yeah, what that standard was. But really, if you're not putting out a monthly comic, it doesn't really matter. We're indie guys, so we're not putting out the same thing every month on a particular budget. We're putting it out by story. So going forward, the story is going to be as long as it is. But quite honestly, I think in most cases it's going to be longer than 24 pages. I think conventions is going to kind of stand out as being unusual in that regard, which makes sense. When we did it, it was a one shot, and it's not a traditional first issue. A lot of people have read it and they said, look, it's cool, but like, why did you pick that as your first issue? And it's like, well, when you know how that comic came to be, that all makes sense, that was the first issue, because we never expected to do any more. But yeah, going forward, we want to tell these really fun and epic stories with Sporkman. So, I don't expect any to be as short as conventions was.
Although Matthew Reese in the chat says I love conventions, so
it's great.
We got a big Sporkman fan on the first book there.
Well, there's a lot of people who loved conventions. There were
it's got a lot of great moments.
There then there's, there was a few other people who, felt it could have been a little bit better. But after I explained to them the backstory of there, they're like, oh, okay. So really it's kind of one of those things like, like Eric said, once you know the backstory to it, you're a little bit more open on it and stuff like that. So really, and this is like when I was talking with the Splittering about the interview, really Japan is, while Convention was technically our first issue, Japan really is our first major like storyline, like our major, this is allowing people to finally get to know who Sporkman is even more, because we reveal stuff about his past and who he is as a character and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Conventions is more, if I had to say what was the important takeaway with Sporkman Conventions, I would say it's the tone.
Yeah.
It's not all that important what happens in the story. It's really introducing you to the tone of the character, and okay, this is the kind of superhero Sporkman is. This is the kind of comedic character he is. We do have another character in there that we're going to bring back at some point, Victoria. So she is introduced in that. And there are a few little elements like that are going to come back in the greater Sporkman universe. But Japan is where we really start to build the world around Sporkman. Where, like, for example, you go to Japan has certain elements within the Sporkman universe. So you're introduced to that sort of thing. And of course, you're introduced to a lot more characters which are going to come back in the future, and you're introduced to a lot of characters that have more depth to them than Conventions did.
The other thing too, I was going to say the other thing real too about, I'm sorry about that. The other thing too is, there's a lot of stuff about Adventures of Sporkman that we really reveal also in Japan that, that we kind of briefly mentioned, like one adventure in Conventions, but like you said, there's a lot of stuff we expand on quite a lot. There's origin story stuff dropped in Japan and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the next one we want to do after this, which is Sporkman on the High Seas, the script for that right now, there's a couple threads that will tie it to both Conventions and Goes to Japan, and they're not stuff that is like we've often said, we don't want any Sporkman adventure to feel like you have to read all the other ones to understand what's going on. They can all kind of stand on their own. So even though there's some references to those other comics, if someone were to just read Sporkman on the High Seas, the one tie-in, really, if they didn't even know Conventions existed, it wouldn't ruin anything for them, and it wouldn't make them feel like they missed anything. And then there's another reference that ties into Japan, which if they didn't know Japan existed, they would be like, okay, I get it. There's a story there somewhere. And if they had read Japan, they would say, oh, that's what that's in a reference to. And I like tying story threads like that together, where someone's not going to be lost, but it might make them interested to read the other stuff if they say, oh, okay, I get where this is going,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It kind of gives you more reward for the people who have been reading it for a while, but allows for newer readers to come in and still enjoy it. Now, what are some of the perks that you guys have on your campaign?
Chuck.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. We just got a backer, so sorry about that. We just got a backer, so I got that notification. So thank you,
nice.
for the gentleman who just backed. I appreciate it. All right, so some of the things we have on our campaign. All the backers currently right now, if you back at the $15 level and higher, you will get a poster and a Sporkman decal, along with whichever campaign that you're backing at. Like, if you back at the $15 level, that's going to get you the floppies in color with the original covers, and you'll get a poster and a decal along with that. All right, for $15. At the $25 level, you get the Brad Ashworth exclusive cover to the Indiegogo. Plus, you also get the Sporkman poster and decal. At $37, you'll get your floppy and the trade together, plus the Sporkman decal and poster. Now, if you get to the at the $45 level, that's where we're actually going to add a T-shirt in. So people can get a T-shirt. And guys, thanks for appreciate you guys sharing that. You want to go ahead and scroll down here for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and post it in the chat as well, so we can grab it later for the description.
So here's some of the ones he was just talking about. Some of the tiers there.
Yep. And as you notice, I actually put like the references of the pictures there, so people know kind of what they're getting on the tiers. And then the one thing that I did do for the first 100 backers are going to get that's special commission piece by Ginger Foxy, which is
amazing. I love it.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be exclusive. Only 100 people are going to get that from the campaign. If we go over 100, nobody else is going to get that unless you purchase it from the store down the road, because it will be available there. Also, the other thing, too, that I just got in was from Matt Weldon from Punchline. I got a special art piece from him that I commissioned. Now, Ginger Foxy is working on the colors on that, but that will not be available unless we hit the higher goal. That we have to be fully funded to get that one as a poster. It will be included in the trade, but it will not be included as a poster unless we get fully funded.
Now, is that which piece is that? Have you shown that one off yet?
I have not shown that one off yet. I did send it to you in the Twitter.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the top tier, though, is Brad did agree to selling his piece for the cover. It is, by the way, that is colorized by hand, completely done by hand. So that's why the price is a little bit higher.
Nice.
Okay,
yeah, that's a nice piece.
The photo only shows the black and white one.
Right, because the photo that I have is I don't have, somehow I must have deleted the other one, but I was just using that as a reference.
Okay. Well, you actually skipped the tier, and that's the Sporkman action figure.
Yep, we got. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we have one tier left. One left, guys.
Oh, wow.
Yep, at the $150 level, you get the Sporkman trade. You'll get a T-shirt. You'll get the You'll get the special handmade Sporkman action figure done by Eric.
That's awesome. Yeah, those look really good.
It's going to be cool, and if people are action figure collectors, man, and they collect, especially if they collect like the Marvel figures that are 3 3/4 inch. You can put Sporkman right in there, and he can team up with Spider-Man or whatever.
Nice. That's going to look really good on the shelf.
Yeah, and now, Eric, you want to tell a little bit about what we're doing with the action figure?
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing is there's a company that makes figures for customizing, where it's just literally a blank figure. You can get like male figure, female figure, and you can get them in a variety of colors. So we're going to be buying some of those, and then things like the gauntlets, the head, with the helmet, and some other elements like that, shoulder pads and things like that. They're all going to be resin cast, and so I'm going to have a mold, and I'm going to recreate, as many as I need of those parts. And so then they're going to be put on the figure. Everything's going to be painted. It's going to have a cloth cape, and the blank body for the figure is super articulated, so it's double jointed at the knees and all kinds of stuff. You're going to be able to really pose this figure.
Well, that's freaking awesome,
yeah. What we have on the campaign is since we actually don't have any of the custom ones done yet, it is a picture of another one that isn't posable. It's just a little statue I made in the
Interesting.
same
Okay.
scale. But we want to have it up there so it just gives people an idea of the kind of quality you're looking at. I mean,
Yep.
it's not going to look like it's not going to look like garbage because I've been customizing figures for years, and so they're going to get something really cool. The cape is even going to be cloth and everything.
And the nice thing is about the company that we're going through with their blanks, they do a really excellent. They do an excellent quality on their blanks, so you're not getting some cheap figure, even being modeled off of. So
yeah, their blanks cost like double what you would pay for a Star Wars action figure in the store.
Just
it's not cheap. It's not like we're making a lot of money on that figure or anything.
yeah.
Right.
So and the thing is, it's a lot of the other thing, and I know a lot of people are going to say, why is the price so high? A lot of it goes into Eric's got to spend a lot of time handcrafting stuff. So
and painting too, handcrafting and painting, and
yeah, because everything's going to be hand painted. The little S symbol, I already did those because we were offering action figures in the first campaign, and so I had actually started producing some of the parts, and like the little S emblem is actually engraved in like a little tiny piece of plastic and everything.
nice, Steve.
Real quick, I want to just give a shout out to Hot Crop, who said he just backed our campaign, and we got Nerdy Texan California.
Nice. Hey guys, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So gotta love it. So that's the big thing is we wanted to keep that quality. I know in the last campaign there was a lot of people really like the figure and stuff like that. But they did ask why it was so high. And I was trying to explain them. This is something that's handcrafted. Figures when you're doing one-offs and stuff like that, they're not cheap to make at all.
Yeah, generally custom figures can run anywhere from $45 and up, and the blanks themselves are costing, like, with the shipping, it's probably going to be like $25 is what we're going to be spending just on a blank, let alone mold material and the resin and everything to do it. And then of course, like I said,
man hours.
I'm like hand painting them all and stuff like that. And people are used to that being done in a Chinese factory where people crank out 100 of them a day and they get paid like $2 or something, and a free meal maybe.
And just to whet other people's appetites. I mean, we plan on down the road. I know we've talked, Matt and Mike, about possibly doing a action figure run. But we're looking to do where this run would be like a lot of different characters versus just one character.
Yeah, really. I mean, the way people got to think about stuff too is that if you want something really, really cool, usually someone cannot deliver that right out of the gate. It's stepping stones and it's building the IP, the whole IP really. We want to do the next series of issues. Well, we're not going to do that if what we have isn't viable and people aren't backing that, and then that just spreads out into everything else,
Yeah.
So they have here so this is the colorized version then, is that right?
The cover. Yes, so that is the actual cover. Done.
Looks awesome. It came out really nice.
Yeah, we did the one original art that Brad did send was a lot dimmer than what it was. So Eric and I talked about it. We wanted a little bit more color and light in it.
Oh, really? Interesting. So that's a little bit slightly different colorization from the one you get in the tier there, the art piece tier.
Yes. So the one in the tier is going to be kind of a more muted tone. And if you want, I can actually show you what it looks like.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and bring it up here. So bear with me here.
Yeah, because one thing about Sporkman is because it is a little bit more lighthearted in a way, and conventions, like, it was very colorful. Had a lot of vibrant colors and stuff like that. It's not a dark comic, so we wanted to make sure we punched up some of the colors on it.
So if you can see here, you see how it's kind of more muted.
Let me stop sharing my screen. Let me hop onto yours. There we go. Oops.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting. Let me pull the other one up to compare. I kind of see what you mean about it being more muted. Which is interesting. It's interesting because the I can see why you wanted the brighter version for the ultimate final version, but the muted version looks really cool too. It's almost like a darker piece in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and that's something we both talked about, and we don't knock it. Like I mean, I love what Brad has done, and I think it's fantastic. We just wanted something a little bit more, because that's the whole thing with Sporkman. He's inspiring hope. It's supposed to be bright with him battling against these robots. So we had Ginger Foxy just punch it up a little bit, and then of course, with me adding in the the reds and stuff like that, kind of gave the top part a little bit more color than being just all background and stuff like that.
Yeah, it really helped. A lot of the colors like really pop out at you.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, I love what Brad's doing. So anybody who does decide to go on that campaign, is going to get that original cover that Brad did. So that'll be able to be displayed on your wall and stuff like that. Also, it's also going to help us and Brad, do other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, yeah.
So, I think right now, I think one of the great things I think we have going for us versus the last campaign is we have the support of you guys, with Wikid behind us. Two, we have a lot more things. Last time we didn't have a cover done. The person who was going to be doing our cover kind of disappeared. Kept trying to get in touch with that person. They kind of, unfortunately, there were some family issues going on that kind of took her away from doing it. And, I love what she was going to be doing, because we were talking about it, and unfortunately, the other thing too is, getting the art piece from Matt Weldon and the art piece from Ginger Foxy really just has added a lot more extra value to our campaign, because
I think our campaign is stronger now than it was before. I mean, just for the fact that we have a great colorist right now. We have some kick-ass posters that we didn't have before. And I think we also kind of just we kind of tightened up the whole campaign where before in some of the tiers, like people also got conventions. And I think some people kind of got confused where the tiers were a little bit more complex than they are now. So people weren't kind of getting what was in each tier. And so I think stuff is streamlined a lot more. And, we just have a stronger campaign right now. So I'd love to see, all the original backers be able to come back, because probably what they're going to be getting now is better than what they would have gotten if we had funded before.
And I actually just got from Matt Wenger, who does Aldrake. He just sent me a picture of his thing he did the other night on the one the one stream where he had me and Spork and Aldrake and Natsui tied up being presented flowers by a dragon. So yeah, I'll have to show you guys here. Let me show that to you guys here. You're gonna laugh at this. I love it. This is what I'm talking about. The amount of fan art that we're getting is just unbelievable.
Yeah, every time I see new fan art, I'm just like, that's so awesome. I mean, it's a compliment, because if someone's going to sit there, take their time to draw something, the fact that they chose to draw something you created is definitely a compliment.
Yeah, like
that was so awesome.
Yeah, Saturday night I was on the stream with Pope Fire Ninja and stuff like that, and so we made this thing because it was Easter. So we actually said you have to do Sporkman or a Spork with free for all characters. So a couple of them, like one person did Rocket and Groot holding a Spork, looking at the Spork. Ninja came up with Spork Pork. So he came up with an anthropomorphic Sporkman in a spork pig as Sporkman. Which I'm trying to get him to send me, and then Aiden came up with he did basically like Godzilla in the background and Sporkman carrying like a sailor girl. So
nice.
So I'm telling you the amount, and then like the one channel, the one night Marmaduke did, he took this thing of, you guys ever see the classic photo of Jesus Christ holding like the cross? It's like one of the middle century, I forget who the artist who did it. So he did that with Sporkman instead of holding this giant spork, and he had Natsumi as Marmaduke. So Marmaduke Natsumi and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh jeez, I remember saying that. Yeah.
So just it goes to show you like that people are really embracing the character. They love.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's so awesome to see. I bet for you guys as the creators,
Yeah, I would have never have thought this the amount of years ago that we had. That 10 years ago when we first, were really doing this, and when we kind of went into hiatus in 2009 after this was done, we would have never thought we would have started back up and getting the amount of fan art that we were getting, because we got some in the beginning, but it wasn't a lot. But
but Chuck, you got to admit, one of the craziest things was at the convention that I premiered the costume at.
Spork fan.
Yeah, we actually had, I think the year after I did the costume, this one kid, he absolutely loved Sporkman. And so for the masquerade, he did Spork fan, and he had like a hat with a spork on it and one of my Sporkman t-shirts and like a belt with all these sporks on, and had like the comic. He had like all the merchandise.
Damn.
So he was
That's
Spork
awesome.
fan. It was hilarious. I'm like, that is a huge compliment.
Yeah, that's nice. That is really cool.
Here, I'll show it to you guys here.
You guys have the picture, nice.
Yeah, yep, we have the picture.
That's epic. Let's see, let me put, it's up there.
Yeah, that's pretty epic right there.
Oh man. Sporkman meets Spork fan.
Yep. So I mean that is like, it is a testament to how cool the character is,
That's nice.
So and this is a great thing. I think if you have a really good character, it can cross a lot of different elements, and it allows people to, not just creators, it allows people in the chat or in the community embrace the character.
Right. I mean, I think that's what, as a creator, that's what you definitely, that's what you ultimately want, is for the readers to connect with the things that you
I would love the day we go to a con and we actually see people dressing up as Sporkman and Natsumi or Shogun Z or the Sharkster, all our other characters. I can't wait for that day. Like, I am going to be stoked.
Right. I mean, that would be so awesome. I'd love to see that.
That would be awesome.
Now, have you seen? You guys have have you guys cosplayed as a Sporkman before?
That was Eric.
Yeah.
Eric did that. That's right. Okay, nice. Yeah, yep. Yeah. That's awesome. So I wonder if the next one will have to be Natsumi then. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I actually wanted to last year, and I actually have a friend who lives in Japan. I approached her about having some people do the cosplay for it. Unfortunately,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, it didn't work out. But so I wanted to, if we hit like a certain number, like I wanted to actually pay someone to actually do a Natsumi photo shoot and stuff like that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be definitely cool. It could even be a tier for an later, maybe for Sporkman on the high seas or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would love to be able to do do that, like do a cosplay photo shoot and stuff like that, of Natsumi and Sporkman, but we'd have to like really hit the numbers in order to do that. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that takes some logistics. To get that going. But yes, I mean, we got a lot of we got 9 days left,
with the potential to extend. What are you guys' goals for the next week or so in terms of the campaign?
Basically, like Eric said, hit as many places as we can go to. We just kind of just promotion, going to people, grounds on the feet, or feet on the ground. Eric going to comic book shops, me trying to hit followers on new people on Twitter, that I actually, a couple people, I talked to on Twitter, looking to back us, and stuff like that. So,
well, one thing, we kind of forgot to mention with the whole free comic book day thing coming up. What I'm hoping to do is to secure us an appearance at an LCS. And so that's going to be even better than, someone getting a flyer or seeing a flyer is, for one, you have a line of people waiting to get in the store. You have a captive audience.
Yeah.
And, if they're advertising that there is local talent right there as guests, I think you're going to get a lot more people, that way too.
I think so, yeah.
Because really, and I found this out just from experience with indie comics, especially like my regular business I do, which is making props. I go to a convention, I set up, people come to my table. But when you're promoting indie comics, a lot of times you got to pull people to your table. They're not just going to walk up to it. Especially because, the convention scene now too is most of them are everything cons. And, I had plenty of people at the one I was at that walk in and they come over. I'm like, oh my gosh, look, an actual comic book reader at a comic book convention. Oh my gosh, imagine that. It's like Sasquatch. And then if they are into indie comics, that's like even more rare. So you really have to get into a position where you can pull people in and say, hey, you know what? I think you're going to like what we're creating. Let me tell you about it. There's a lot of people that, we've sold comics to that if you just sat there and didn't really say anything, they're not going to buy your comic. But you got to draw them in. And I mean, a lot of that is just, salesman tactics. You got to know how to, approach people and actually say, hey, you know what? Do you read indie comics? If you do, let me tell you about my project, because you might be interested. And if they say they don't really care about indie comics, say, you know what? Now it's never too late to give it a try.
Yeah, I can honestly not recommend enough. Me and Matt both worked at Office Depot together, and I highly recommend getting some experience with customer service job or work like that, because yeah, like you said, it instills like some really good underlying ideas and just habits and other things like that where that really help down the line for this kind of work.
Hey guys, just to let you know, we went to with the one backing that I got to put in here, we are at 2001.
Oh, nice! Just broke over 2000. Congratulations! That's awesome.
Yep.
That's excellent.
Yeah, because we got one in that didn't go through the system, so it's not there, but we've been paid.
Yep. And that was by our good friend Nerdy Texan Accountant. So yeah, Eric.
Nice, very nice.
Neo asked, wait, you design props? Talking to you, Eric.
Yeah, I do that. That's what I do full time.
Yep.
Here, I'll type in my website for you.
Yep, we're not just a one-stop shop just making comics. We got we're doing comics, we're doing props. We've done movies and stuff like that. Hey, Eric, you know what we're gonna have to do one night? I think we're gonna have to show them the moving picture just for a fun night.
Oh my gosh! Like I don't know. That's like one of those
movie night.
It's almost like the nude bath photos that your mom has. That you're like, no, I don't want anyone to see these.
Can't be any worse.
Especially because as soon as anything is on the internet, it is there forever. So I'm like, oh, I don't know.
I'll post the link to my
Hey,
YouTube video where
you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
What you think is bad publicity could end up being graceful to you.
Well,
if it makes
that's
you
true.
if it
Now-
makes you feel any better, I'll post the link to my badly made short film. Then that way you won't feel like you're the only one.
For those that don't know, back when Chuck and I met, we were like very much into film, and that's kind of what we thought we would be doing.
Really?
And it was in a time when camcorders were just within affordability now for people that weren't rich. So our friend Chris actually got one, and it was like when they basically took VHS quality, but they made like very small tapes of it. So the quality was not any better really than VHS. And so we're like, we're going to make this short film. And so we spent, it was like a couple years.
Almost like 5 years.
just filming stuff. And then there was a couple times we completely scrapped stuff and went back and refilmed things. And, we didn't know what we were doing, and a lot of it was just like stupid jokes that like we thought were funny, but like, other people would just be like, what the hell are you doing? Oh yeah, well that's fun. Yeah. Cause it was like a private joke type thing. And so we had put together this film, and I think the coolest thing about it was the climax of the film takes place in a movie theater. And after we filmed it, the guy that owned the movie theater, he said, "Were you going to show this film after you're done?" And we're like, where are we going to show it? It's just some camcorder movie we made. And he's like, "Well, you could do it here." And so we actually had over 2 days, we had, I think, like 4 showings for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so people were in the theater watching scenes filmed in the same theater that they were in. So that was kind of cool. I think
that is cool. I like that. That was really trippy to be in that theater watching that.
Yeah, and I think originally there was like the film went through a couple different iterations where we wanted to do different things. And one of the concepts we had was that it was actually going to be film, but combined with a stage performance. So the movie, quote unquote, part of it would be acted out more like a play on stage. And so like we might do something where one of us is being chased and we run up on stage, right? Run behind the stage, and then it's that character like running across the screen being chased, and then maybe they come out the other end. So we wanted to do some innovative stuff like that where it was a combination of the two. So it wasn't like anyone would walk away with the film. It had to be experienced live with the video content.
Well, you remember the movie Bowfinger?
Nobody remembers the movie Bowfinger.
What?
It was with
Eddie Murphy, Steve Martin.
Murphy and Steve Martin. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the really weird thing about it was the movie Bowfinger came out shortly before we had finished our film, and the storyline was almost exactly the same. In ours, it was a story about 3 directors trying to make the ultimate space movie, and like we're hacks, okay? And that was the storyline. And we have this one actor, he's a famous actor, and he storms off set. So we find this really dorky guy who looks just like him to play the role of this other famous actor, okay? Here's the plot line of Bowfinger. This director, played by Steve Martin, who's a bit of a hack and can't get funding for his movie, tries to get this movie made with this really dorky guy who looks just like this other famous actor.
Really?
Played by Eddie Murphy. Who played
Oh my God.
who the hell would come up with that plot line? And and I'm not saying that they ripped us off, because like, who the hell would know of, us three guys from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania? But it was weird how this movie was coming out right before we finished editing ours, and it's like the same plot.
we started running this gag where we're like, we gotta wear tinfoil hats when we think of stuff. People keep stealing our ideas.
That's funny. I'd like to see a Sporkman, like a conspiracy theory Sporkman with some tinfoil hat on or something.
Yeah.
But
Sporkman actually did feature in. I played him for. If you're familiar with the 48-hour film festival.
Not too. No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so basically, now this is run in cities all across the U.S.
Oh,
I guess
really?
the same organization does it. So they have this thing, the 48-hour film festival, where what they do is you enter in a competition, and you basically have 48 hours to completely from scratch have a completed short film. And it's usually limited to, like, it has to be like 7 minutes long or something like that, okay? So to avoid people having a finished product beforehand, you show up to the event and they say, here's the plot, and you got to go do it. In 48 hours, you have to have finished edited product. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So it involves a lot of very quick thinking, where it's like, okay, we gotta write this thing. We gotta do, if costumes are involved, you gotta do costumes, all kinds of stuff. And me and a few of my friends, we had entered in a 48-hour film festival, and so we're like, okay, well, what can we do with the props and costumes and stuff we have on hand? And so our friend who was writing the script for it, it was called Love at First Plight. And basically these guys, they go to like mug this lady or something like that, and Sporkman shows up and saves the day, and she falls in love with Sporkman. Like, and it's just, like I said, a little short, like 5-7 minute thing. So in a way, Sporkman has been in a live action film.
That's awesome. He's already had his debut on the silver screen. So
yeah, in some little tiny film festival thing. But yeah, I did Sporkman for that.
Well, that's cool. It's interesting, you guys coming from like a kind of a background and having some experience with all these other things.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely be interesting to see if you ever guys came back to that and did like some sort of Sporkman film, like another film type project.
Well, we have already started writing a origin story for Sporkman.
Yeah, we thought if we ever did a live action one, people would probably want an origin. And people have asked us about the origin, and we're like, well, okay, what is his origin? Well, let's figure that out. But I don't know if, looking at it now in hindsight, there's things where you have ideas, and then you look at them years later and you say, no, I don't care for that, or I don't like that direction. So, honestly, if we went back and we ever did a live action Sporkman movie, I don't know if we would tell the origin, because that's not the direction we take the comic. I think it would suddenly be a different kind of thing. It would be like a different tone and stuff. Part of what makes Sporkman is you don't know his background. So I'm not sure if we'd ever want to tell it. But the concept for the villain in that, we're definitely going to use in the comics. We really think the villain's kind of cool. He's kind of like a Kingpin sort of character, and we're thinking about using him for the villain in Sporkman Goes to Hollywood.
Oh, Sporkman Goes to Hollywood. Oh, he's not going to sell out on us, is he?
Yeah, and that one, our character Victoria from Sporkman Conventions, she's going to return in that story.
That one sounds fun.
Yeah, we also that's where we're also planning on kind of linking some of the other characters that we give little Easter eggs to when Sporkman's touring the lot and stuff like that. So
Nice. So California bound. I like it. That's where Wikid's at. Maybe you can stop by and visit the Wikid studios.
Hey, maybe that's what we could call the film.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
there we
would be a
go.
great little Easter egg too. You know?
Yeah,
That would be
that's what-
awesome.
So you guys could be the producers of Rag the movie. You do Rags. 'Cause our plan is to have like him go to these different sets, and it's Wanpool, Rags, Cowboy Steel, and a few other ones. And while Natsumi's Victoria's taking them around and stuff like that. So at the Wikid Studios plot. Yeah.
I like that one. Yeah, that's something to look forward to down the line. I just love the possibilities,
And that's the thing is we got so many stories, not just Sporkman. Eric and I have so many things we want to write because we've had the writing bug for how long, Eric? Just itching and itching and itching to do stuff. Yeah. It really, now that we've got this, good following, we got a lot of good backers, we got your support, we now have a lot of things we didn't have 10 years ago. It lined up that we can actually do this stuff.
Wow. Yeah, that's really awesome. It's interesting how, you have so much passion for the project and you can, you just keep going and going and you can find your audience and I think that's really cool.
So Neo actually says Sporkman takes the high seas going to Hollywood. So we can actually have like Eric, like Sporkman sees himself. You ever seen like that Spider-Man where like Spider-Man sees himself and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
Sporkman sees like the mirror himself and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
Matt Reyes said, where was it? There it was hashtag 3 guys from PA or something like that. And I told him, I said, no, it was actually TAG Productions, which stood for 3 awesome guys.
Yeah, we were
awesome guys.
Our film was actually called Tag the Moving Picture.
Huh. Oh, really?
Yep.
Dang. So you guys have a copy still, I take it, right?
What was that?
You guys still have a copy of your original short film that you guys were talking about?
We just made some mainly like for us and some of our friends and family.
Would you ever think you might, because I know you guys mentioned maybe teasing something. You guys will ever think about showing it to the masses?
Oh gosh, no, it's so bad.
Too much, yeah.
Bad.
You can't do it, huh?
You know what though? A lot like I know Eric thinks it's so bad, but I've talked to a lot of people who say, you know what, it's just fun. You guys were having fun,
You know what?
Exactly.
Some people could check out though, if they want to see a film project we did that was a lot better. A number of years ago, Discovery Channel had this competition called You Spoof Discovery. And it was funny. They advertised this thing. My wife and I were watching Mythbusters, and I happen to look a lot like Adam Savage. And she had said something about, he even acts a lot like you, okay? And next commercial break, they advertised this thing. So it was a film competition where you basically spoof a Discovery Channel show, and it had to be limited. I think it was like 7 minutes or something like that. And you could spoof a show. So I told Chuck, I'm like, dude, we got to spoof Mythbusters. So we did a short film called Mythbursters. And so me and Chuck basically kind of play, off of the whole Mythbusters thing. And our myth is, can you actually make an android that passes for human? So, within just like a couple weeks and shooting over like 2 or 3 days, we were able to use mainly props that I already had. Like we hardly had to build any props for it, but we got all these props into it and stuff like that. And that you can check out. I think it's on my personal YouTube.
Yep, it's your personal YouTube.
Yeah, so if people look up
Jedi Raylan
on YouTube, it'll be on there, Mythbursters. And then we also have
the homeless puppet PSA.
Yeah, we have a PSA about homeless puppets.
We have the world as we see it.
And the world as we see it, which was originally going to be It was originally going to be a series of short films where it was always going to be imagine if blah blah blah, and then it would kind of go into our heads and we would see like if the world was really like that, and then it would always cut back to us going nah, and we only ever did one episode of that, but yeah, they're up there.
I just posted them in the YouTube link.
Okay,
YouTube
awesome.
chat. Mythbursters.
Yeah, so for that competition that you spoofed Discovery, what they were going to do is some of the people that were accepted, they were going to run a special where they show, these short films or portions of these short films. And we, for some reason, there was like a problem uploading, and we didn't meet the deadline because I was running until like the very last second to get it done. I'm like, oh crap, it didn't go in. And then they said, well, we're going to be doing a second episode of that. So I submitted it for that, and we got accepted. We even got paid for it because I guess they had to pay people or something like that. And they aired the first episode, never got around to airing the second one. But yeah, got like $500
yeah.
for it.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
that's pretty cool. I would have traded, I think, the 500 to say it was on the air. You know what I mean? But
right, yeah.
So we just got another backer, Brian Ball from Rags fame. So
oh, nice, man.
So wanted
to thank you.
Wanted to give that shout out. Brian's one of our good friends.
Very cool. I love what they do over there at the Rags team.
Yeah, so we have our, it just doing comics is kind of like this natural thing because we have like this really creative bug, and right now, we still want to do more films. We've even talked about, like continuing some of the stuff. Like we have a couple ideas for Mythbusters.
Yeah, we wanted to do. We had started writing a Mythbusters Halloween episode where we were going to try to bust like monster myths and stuff like that. It was crazy, but yeah, I mean that was our thing for a very long time. We wanted to write and direct movies, and it just, because of the challenges involved, it never happened. Once again, this is kind of where it goes along with independent comics too, is the tools weren't really there at the time. Editing software and cameras and stuff like that were getting to the point where people could afford them and they were accessible. But the other tools like social media and crowdfunding, which is how a lot of indie film gets funded now, those tools didn't exist. So for the same reason we kind of set aside doing comics was the same reason we set aside doing anything with film.
But it's never too late to pick up old things and try again with some new things.
I think for us, one of the big thing that we do, where comics, I think, really it can embrace that medium, because there's so much more you can tell in comics than you're limited to with, movies and stuff like that. So you can actually take a lot of the elements you wanted to use in the movies and incorporate them and doing them in the comics and stuff like that.
Yeah, quite honestly, I kind of feel like, as far as getting into film, I kind of feel like that ship has sailed for us. I mean, yeah, partially because of our age and stuff like that. It's early to get into it, but there's so much resources that need to go into a film, like an unbelievable amount. I mean, you look at any movie, even a very low budget indie movie, and you just look at the list of credits for just how much stuff is involved, and everything needs to be on point. Your elements, like a comic, you want to put out a good comic, okay, what are your elements that have to hit? You have to have good art, you have to have good writing,
good coloring,
and good coloring if it's in color. Where a movie, I mean, it's like you got to have the acting on, the camera work on, the locations on, the costumes on, just everything has to come together. And it is, and I'm not saying this to dissuade anyone else that's interested in the field, but there's so much involved, and it's a huge gamble. and potentially a very, very expensive gamble, because you could put your heart and soul and everything and all these resources into a project, and it just falls flat. And it's literally tons of dollars. Even if it's crowdfunded, then it's tons of other people's money who might be disappointed in, the outcome. And you could say the same thing of comics, but you're not putting near the resources into it as you are a movie. And really, you can tell all the same stories, because with comics, you have the visual element that, like, even a novel wouldn't have. So that's why I've always encouraged people, if they have an idea for a screenplay and they're like, oh, I want to sell this screenplay to Hollywood, you know what? Don't waste your time on Hollywood. Get some money together, whether it's crowdfunding or out of your own pocket. Hire an artist, if you're not an artist, and you turn your screenplay into a graphic novel.
Yep.
Because really, if you want to see it as a movie, that's where Hollywood's going to pick up its ideas. They're going to comics and graphic novels and things like that. So, in a way, a straight line is not the quickest route in some cases to get what you want. If you want to see your project on the big screen, don't just try to sell them on the big screen idea. Make a graphic novel or a comic. Build a fan base. And then Hollywood will look at it and they'll say, you know what? This project has value. There's a million people making elevator pitches to producers that their project has value. But you know what? If you don't have a fan base behind it already, it's going to be a lot harder to sell someone on that idea.
Now, if coming from putting Hollywood aside, is there any you have experience? What would you say about trying to go at the indie route in that way?
Are you talking about like movies?
Or any kind of animation, any kind of live action, any kind of video project that you want to put out?
Wait, I'm sorry, I don't get the question.
So you talked about you were talking about you were saying how you'll go to comics over that because it's Hollywood and everyone's pitching to Hollywood. But what about the indie sphere? What do you have to say about that kind of stuff in terms of trying to go out at the indie route?
As far as like making your own movie or
movies, any kind of content that you want to get out there, like video, specifically video content.
Oh, specifically video. Well, now I mean we're in an interesting place because we have things like YouTube, whereas before, like I'll use Chuck and I for an example. Okay, let's say our first little camcorder film we made was some sort of masterpiece. Who's going to see it? You know what I mean? I mean, how do you distribute something like that? And that's something where, for a long time that was a concern. Someone makes an indie film, they're like, okay, wow, let's go all pat ourselves on the back, congratulate ourselves. We got a movie made.
Okay.
How do we get that in front of people? And the great thing now is not only do we have resources like you can throw a trailer up on YouTube and it costs you absolutely nothing. That is free advertising right there. You can put your trailer on Facebook, Twitter. You have all these outlets where you can literally do free advertising and it can spread from word of mouth. Okay, that's awesome right there in and of itself. But there's another big game changer, and that's called Netflix. You make an indie film, it is very hard to get distribution because in most cases, indie film, it doesn't have big names attached. So people are like, who's going to go see this movie? The special effects aren't, ILM, and it doesn't have whatever the big star, that decade is or whatever. So you're going to have trouble with distribution. Netflix, they want cheap content. And I'm not saying that as like an insult to them or whatever, but as a business, that's why you go on Netflix and there's like shows from India and there's a lot from Asia and you know, you have a lot of stuff that's you know, lower budget and things like that. It's because they can get the distribution for that stuff really, really cheap. You're an indie filmmaker and you're like, holy shit, Netflix wants to distribute my project? Sure, you know?
Yep.
Well, before that wasn't an option. So, you know, Netflix is a huge game changer for that sort of thing. And they're also not really restricted on wanting, we want a feature-length movie, you know? They have documentaries, you know? They have you know, they have series that are like I think there was one series where it was literally a bunch of short films that were like 2 to 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
If you do a 2-minute film, who the hell is going to pick that up for distribution? They're going to be like, yeah, that's like as long as a trailer. No one's going to watch that. Well, Netflix will pick it up. So now, if you have a 2-minute film, they're probably not going to pick that up and showcase it as that. That's the whole thing. They'll put it together as like maybe an anthology or something like that. But all those options are out there for people that weren't before. So
that is a very good point. Yeah. Now we're getting closer to wrapping up here. Towards the end of our time together, what would you guys like to tell your fans out there, and for people who maybe haven't backed your campaign yet as well? Actually,
Eric,
what was that?
Is so we're actually wrapping. We're getting closer to wrapping up here. So I was just curious if there's anything you want to tell all your fans out there, as well as anything that you'd like to tell people who've yet to back your campaign.
Mainly, I would just say, you know, we're in a situation here, like most indie comic guys are, where, you know, we don't really have the funds to do this on our own. That's why we're doing the campaign. So if you want to see us be able to continue stuff, you know, backing it isn't just a way of getting us funded, but it's a way of showing your support behind it, and I don't mean this to come off the wrong way, but it shows your support beyond just lip service. It shows that, yeah, you have faith in it. You want to see this happen. And, you know, I don't want people to back us just because they're like, you know, I like you guys or whatever. No, I hope people are backing it because they actually want the content. Chuck and I have always been of that opinion, where, you know, we want the work to be the important thing. That's why when, you know, actresses and actors, you know, they say stupid crap and people are like, oh, I'm not going to see their film because they said something stupid. And I'm like, no, I'm going to see or not see their film because I think that that's going to be good or it's not going to be good. So I'm really hoping that all the backers we have are backing us because they really do like the content and they want to see the content get out there. If people are on the fence about it, I would just say, you know what? One of the things we're offering is it's different than what a lot of other people are offering. It's superheroes, and there might be a lot of superhero stuff, but we're doing it differently. We're going from a, you know, our character doesn't have powers. We're going for humor. We're going for something fun. We're not trying to do something dark or serious. So I think what we're offering is just different from what a lot of other people are offering in that respect.
Well, not just that, you know, we're throwing back to the old age comics. We're taking a lot of stuff. Like I tweeted Tom King, you know, about our idea. I said, hey, we're doing, you know, we got this project going. You know, it's a love letter to things that we love. You know, it's not just, you know what I mean? Not just a character we created. It's a character we love, and we're doing things that we love with the comic. You know, it's our love letter, basically. You know, not just that too. Also, no, I'm on the sound of mine. You know, I like that people are backing us because they like us. I'm glad people like us because, you know, but yeah, the project is, you know, I want people to believe in the project, and everybody who backs us does believe in the project. Getting people like you guys, Brian Ball, the team from Rags, Matt Reyes, these other creators, Neo, those show faith that other creators also like our stuff too. So it should go to you, a testament as a person who might be on the fence. Hey, look, these other creators really believe in this project too. They like the concept, and maybe I should back it.
And that's what I said earlier in the show is I said it means a lot more when it comes from someone else pitching it, because we can try to sell our stuff all day, and of course we're going to want to make ourselves sound good. But when other people, I know a lot of people like Matt and stuff like that have constantly been saying, hey, you know what, you should back these guys because what they're doing is really cool. And that means a lot, coming from other people, because all of us as content creators, always in the back of our mind, we're going to have the fear that someone doesn't like what we have, that we're going to put our heart and soul into something and someone's going to say, yeah, this really sucks. So every time you get even one person that says, I really like this, I mean, that makes you feel good. And
Nice.
I don't know if there's people out there that totally didn't like it, but
there is one.
Oh, there is? Okay.
Yeah, remember Ted Raimi? He thought the idea was stupid.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. Well, I don't even think he knew it was a comic, but yeah, okay. So what Chuck's referring to, we were at, what was it, Wizard World?
Wizard World Philly.
Okay, we were there, and we both think Ted Raimi's pretty cool, okay? And he was there as a guest, and we walked by.
I wanted his signature.
Yeah, and I was wearing a Sporkman t-shirt, and he looks at it and he goes, Sporkman, he goes, that's like really stupid or something like that.
Well, no, he didn't. No, remember, he basically what happened, I was standing in line getting the signature, and Eric was right next to me, and he's like, oh, Sporkman, what's his powers? And Eric's like, the power of the spork. And he's like, oh, okay. So he signed the poster, and as we're walking away, he's like, man, Sporkman, what a dumb idea. Yes,
that's it. Because I remember afterwards, you were like, I'm like ready to like tear up the photo and just like throw it back at him.
Gee, that's cheapery.
The thing is, I mean, I do have a backbone. It's just, and I don't expect everybody to like it. I mean, we've taken constructive criticism. We've had another creator give us some input that he felt that could have been better for, as I was telling you earlier, another creator said he particularly didn't care for conventions. He likes the character, but he didn't care for the comic. That's constructive criticism. But saying that outright the other way, oh man, what a stupid idea. To me, that's not constructive criticism.
So what everyone should do is they should tweet.
No.
They should all tweet. I'm joking.
No.
Like they all tweet at Ted Raimi, and they're like, Ted Raimi, do you still think Sporkman's stupid?
Because we don't.
I'm joking, guys. Anyone who knows me knows I avoid all kinds of bullshit and drama on Twitter. So please, don't do that. But I'm not saying something like that might not happen in a Sporkman comic when he goes to Hollywood.
Yeah, who knows, right? Anything can happen in Hollywood.
But we'll just have to, change the names to conceal the real identity of everyone. But everyone will actually know who it's based on.
Like Schaffner.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, thanks guys for joining us. This has been a lot of fun chatting with you guys about your campaign. As we talked about, we have 9 days left in the campaign with the potential to extend. So a lot of really exciting stuff coming up for them. So if you guys haven't backed it yet, please go do so. And where can people follow you online?
Well, I'm on Twitter at Jedi Raylan, and if they want to hit me up on Facebook, I really only just have my personal page. But if they want to check out my business, they can look up Hole in the Ground Productions on Facebook.
And then for me, you can follow me on all social media at Sporkman Studios.
Yeah, and if people didn't know already, we have a YouTube channel, and I say we, but it's usually Chuck. We'll have other indie comic people on, and do interviews and help promote them. There's a couple There's a couple I met at the convention I was at that, hope to have them on at some point too.
And we also do have an interview on May 7th with a potential larger audience. Somebody who reached out to me is looking to do an interview with me or Eric. So keep in mind on that. I'm not sure if that's going to be live stream or it's going to be one that's going to be done and then posted. So keep an eye out for that. And then hopefully I'll be able to, I'm hoping to get on a couple other channels here soon. So spread the word, support the Spork.
Support the Spork, and also I'm going to post a link to the Wikid store where you can currently get Sporkman conventions, and that also helps support the guys here. So definitely back both of them. Go get all the Spork you can.
And Matt, Mike, currently we are, I know we're running a sale on the Sporkman. If you're on the fence, you can get our first comic. If you want a print copy, you can get it for $3 from Wikid. Or if you want to go digital, you can get the black and white version on digital for $1. If you want to throw just to get your feet wet.
And start getting ready for the next book in the series. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again, guys. I know everyone's looking forward to seeing what you guys do with Sporkman in the near future and to come after that. So definitely excited for you guys. And congratulations and good luck with the rest of your campaign.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us in the chat. We'll see you guys next time, and have a great night, guys.